Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you joined us for our three-day Metals and Mining Conference. Our next live presentation is from Kootenay Silver. Please note you can submit questions for the presenters in the box to the left of the slides, and you can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book a Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Jim McDonald. He's the President and Chief Executive Officer, and Dale Britliff, the Vice President of Exploration of Kootenay Silver, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol KOOYF and on the TSXV under the symbol KTN. Welcome, Jim and Dale.
Yeah, thank you. Pleasure to be here, and let's get started with the presentation. Kootenay Silver is a junior exploration company focused in Mexico for the discovery of silver deposits. We've been at this for some time now. We've made 3 discoveries with resource reports and estimates out on those 3 discoveries, and they total a pretty large inventory of silver in the ground, which gives us a tremendous leverage to the silver price with these silver ounces banked in the ground. And we're in the middle of a very exciting 4th discovery called Columba that will be the focus of our talk today and has been our flagship property over the last 3.5 or 4 years. So moving along, of course, we're going to be making a number of forward-looking statements, so you can read this on our website and be aware of the forward-looking statements, please. Touched on this already. We have one of the largest junior-owned silver asset bases in Mexico, owned by a junior, which gives us a lot of leverage to the silver price. And then we've got this great growth potential on the new discovery called Columba that we just finished a 20,000 meter drill program on, expanding what we'd done before and setting us up to put out our first resource estimate ever on the Columba project. So it's been a highly successful drill program at Columba, as you'll see here shortly. Won't spend too much time here in board and management. I'm a geologist by profession. I've been in the junior resource side since 1988, forming companies and getting projects for them and financed. And the bottom line here is that our team, which includes Dale Britliff, our VP of Exploration, who's on the line here, has experience in all aspects of not only exploration, but of mining as well. So we've made discoveries from grassroots prospecting, resource discoveries. We've brought these resources into production, and we've operated mines. So we've discovered, developed, and operated and financed every one of those stages along the way. This is a very deep team for a junior company. You don't often see that. So I think that really makes it stand out. And in addition to, of course, our large silver resources in the ground. Just quickly here, the current share price is today about 94 cents Canadian, 62 million shares issued and outstanding. Current market cap around 62 million, 63 million Canadian. The average daily volume is hovering around 190,000 shares a day over the last 3 months. And that will fluctuate and respond very quickly to the general silver market. So when you start to see a lot of movement in the silver price and an appetite for silver, you'll see that reflected in our share price quite quickly. Our cash position, that was at the end of the September quarter. We just filed the year end. But currently we are just under 2 million Canadian. Key shareholders, Eric Sprott, who's a famous resource investor in North America. He's from Toronto. Condire is a fund out of Texas. Management directors, we've been with this. We founded this company over 15 years ago. And institutions includes a lot of well-known resource investing institutions, but also quite large holdings in Switzerland with managed money. Former investments that have been made by major mining companies in our company include Coeur Mining because of our La Ciguera discovery, one of our resource projects, Agnico Eagle because of our very first discovery called Promontorio, and Pan American Silver because of an exciting discovery called La Negra, which is also on that Promontorio property. Now, this is a testament sort of to our ability to discover and our discovery success. These are not currently shareholders, but it just shows we attract a lot of attention with our different discoveries. So our silver assets, we're very focused on this new discovery because it's a classic high-grade vein system. The hit rate or success rate in our drilling has been really high. We've been in this last round of drilling, I would say probably 85% of our holes hit very good grades and widths. So we're building ounces as we move along and drill on this project. And the high grade is important because high grade counts at any kind of silver price. This is all backed by our current resources in the 3 different deposits. So they total over 214 million ounces of silver equivalent in the measured indicated category, and almost 55 million ounces of silver equivalent in inferred. Now, measured indicated categories is and inferred categories, for those who of you who don't know what that means, it's a measure of confidence in those ounces being there. So measured is your highest confidence, indicated is the next level, and then inferred is the lowest level. And it's tied to mostly drill density. And so confidence in exactly how many ounces and where they are in the grade, etc. We've updated all the reports on these 3 deposits very recently because we want them to be ready to move when we get into a real strong uptrend on the silver price and further into what we believe is a bull market in silver. We're strong believers in this bull market. That we're entering a very strong silver bull market, and we think that started about a year ago when silver broke out here. It has not yet caught up to gold. The ratio to gold is about 101, and the median is down around 60. So it always reverts to median, then passes it. The last precious metal cycle, I think the ratio got down to about 35. So we believe silver's got a lot of upside potential here. We generate projects from prospecting, so if they're too early stage for us, we'll bring partners in to mitigate the risk, option them out. If the partner earns the interest, we will then look at selling the remaining interest and retaining a royalty, which we've done in the case of the Cervantes gold copper discovery in Mexico. So our projects all in northern Mexico. You can see this red line in this map here. That's the famous Sierra Madre trend of Mexico, where many of the big historic silver mining districts occur. And our La Ciguera resource sits within one of those districts, famous districts called Parral. Then the Promontorio and La Negra sit in southern Sonora State on the left-hand side. And then our Columba discovery, which we're really focused on, is currently our flagship, is on the northern extension of that famous trend. All our recent milestones and catalysts have been focused around that Columba project. Financed it over a year ago, drilled at 20,000 meters that we finished in the winter, and we just finished putting out our last assays yesterday on that project. And now this positions us to come out with our maiden resource on the project. And then the next step is continue drilling to expand the size of that resource, because the mineralization is on all the veins is wide open. for expansion. And so we've now drilled a total of over 50,000 meters on this project with the conclusion of that program. And the Columba property was mined twice in the past historically, 1900 and 1910, and then again around 1960. Maybe 100,000 tons approximately was ever mined there. In that earlier period, it was a very serious effort. In the early 1900s, they put a shaft down on one vein to 200-meter depth, 6 levels off that. So they were getting ready for some very serious production, and was stopped by the Mexican Revolution. And then briefly in 1960, a little bit of mining. And then 1982, a company came in and dewatered the old mine, and then left the project when they bought an operating project elsewhere in the country. Amazingly, when we picked up the option to earn 100% here, nothing had been done in almost 40 years. The project had never been drilled in spite of that historic mining. And we were very attracted by the assays that came out of that old mine. And the first thing we did was go in and confirm those numbers, which we did. But we also found that some of the other veins are even much better. We're hitting highlight holes like 17 meters at 650 grams per ton silver, 6 meters at 2,000 grams per ton, 34 meters half kilo. Now, these are quite remarkable intercepts when you consider a lot of the vein mining in Mexico is on narrow veins that are generally 1.5 to maybe 2 meters wide. And to give you an idea here, the cutoff grade for narrow underground mines is around 150 grams, rule of thumb, in Mexico. And so when you're seeing these are truly high-grade intercepts here that we're building. So we're building ounces as we go. And I'll hand it over to Dale Bitliff now, and he will talk about, he's the VP of Exploration, so he'll talk a little bit about the geology, and then we'll come back at the end and just quickly touch on our resource projects and what the plan is on those. Okay, Dale, are you ready to roll?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, thanks, Jim. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about this project. You've set it up nicely. The project here is really, it's a testament to the team as well. Jim spoke about the depth of management. There's also depth of field crews here. The geologists we have in country in Mexico are excellent. So recognizing this property was a real step forward. But talking about the project, Jim mentioned in the 80s there was an old mining operation. If you look at this view, it's an oblique view looking north from a Google Earth image. And what you might be able to make out there is a dish shape or a scallop-shaped caldera. What we're looking at is an ancient volcanic center. And right in the center there, you'll see the inset photograph. You'll see there's a steel head frame there. That's the head frame on top of that 200-meter shaft that Jim had mentioned. That shaft was sunk on a northwest trending vein. The yellow lines represent veins that we've mapped. And the scale of this project here right now, from the top left to bottom right, those yellow lines represent 4 kilometers of vein extent on the longest veins. And in the opposite direction, going from the top right to the bottom left, that's about 3 kilometers. It's a very extensive vein network. And you can see that there is certainly a lot of density of veining, especially where those main veins intersect with each other. In the top right of the image, you can see the central pivot irrigation. There's a lot of farmland, flat land out to the east. And that you might make out a little yellow line there. That's actually a state highway. It's about 3 hours down the road to the southeast to Chihuahua and the international airport there. We also have a small industrial town about 25 k's to the northwest. And that is, I believe, in the order of about 30,000 people. So we've got a good base there for services and other things near to this project. And probably next slide there, Jim. The vein network that we just saw on the previous slide is shown on the right here. You can see the yellow lines again, and the red dots represent drill pads as it is right now. The purpose of this slide is to show you the extent of this vein system. On the left is the Las Chispas deposit of Silvercrest, now Core Mining. And in the center is Copala, that was Vizsla's deposit as at the beginning of last year. And the purpose of these slides, these three maps, all at the same scale, is to show the scale of the vein network is roughly comparable to both of these deposits have in excess of 100 million ounce silver deposits. We believe that Columba has the potential to reach in excess of 100 million ounces silver if some of these veins do continue to prove as mineralized as we believe they are. Again, this slide shows some of the highlights from drilling. We mentioned that these veins are mineralized. If you look at the center left, that's the F vein. We're calling it the F vein, and that's really the center of the historical work. One thing I should have mentioned too in this caldera is that there's the mineralization in the system here. It's a classic intermediate sulfidation epithermal system. These systems are zoned vertically. So the mineralization in these veins really is highest at the lowest points in that caldera. So that's where the original mining was done. The shaft was sunk at the place where the veins showed the most mineralization. So F vein drilling that we've done so far, you'll see there's grades there of 7.5 meters at 650 grams, 9 meters at 354. But for me, the real prize here is the parallel vein to the south. We're calling D vein. That was again really an unrecognized vein at the time. There were some small scratchings and test pits on it, but really the mineralization level the erosional level hadn't got down to the point where D vein was well mineralized at surface. So the historical miners did some work on there, but didn't get some good silver grades. You'll see there we've got 34 meters at half a kilo silver, including 2.5 meters at 5,800 grams per ton silver. There was another hole 100 meters vertically above that one that returned 29.9 meters at 453 grams, with a core of 17.8 meters at 650. Subsequent drilling to the east, as we've stepped out along D vein, have shown more significant hits, including that 11 meters at 481. And in hole 164 last year, we returned 104 meters at almost 200 grams per ton silver. That's core length, so we were drilling down the dip almost, but true width was around 20 meters, I believe. The feature of the veining here is that we do have a core high-grade vein with mineralized sides or adjacent to it, stockwork zones, which give an effective true width of these veins to be quite significant. Jim mentioned high-grade thin veins. These have high-grade cores and medium-grade zones that really make these quite significant veins. In the center as well, we've got B vein. That was 9 meters at 691, and there was 13 meters at 434. Both of those holes returned in excess of a kilo per ton silver in some of the core zones. And the big mess of veins up there in the northeast, we're calling that the JZ zone. That's a significant disruption pattern there. The vein swarm there has some very high grades in some of those chutes, including the 44 meters at 333, which had that core of 6 meters at over 2 kilos per ton silver. And then so these veins, wherever we've drilled them, tend to be very well mineralized.
Dale, we got a couple minutes before Q&A. We'll point out one thing quickly before we move on to the next slide. The shaded area or claim fractions we don't own. Everything else we do. And the point about the erosion level here is that this system has barely suffered any erosion. So whatever was deposited here originally, still sitting here for discovery, gives us very exciting upside. So we'll just move on quickly here to the long section of the F vein. This is the historically worked vein. And you can see the dark areas are your high grades. So these are the areas we follow. We've got over 40 holes here. We know there's a resource there to be estimated. It'll be part of our maiden resource. And then when we look at that D vein that Dale was discussing, it's over 1,200 meters of length and over 300 meters of depth here now. We got one hole that takes it over 500 meters of depth. So this really points to a lot of ounces and a lot of upside. And this is where we're getting these 34 meters, a half kilo, 98 meters over 200 grams per ton. True width of that would be something like 40 meters or a little less, but just fat zones here, a lot of ounces and a lot of upside. So our resource will be primarily from the D vein, the F vein, and another set we call B, and they're all wide open to depth and a long strike. So whatever that maiden resource is, this is going to get a whole lot bigger. And then, so very quickly, the next stage now is to put a maiden resource out and then go back drilling to expand and increase on that resource. In the meanwhile, we're backed by all these silver ounces in the ground in La Ciguera. There's 51.5 in the measured indicated, another 11 in the inferred category here. And what's important is that we've barely drilled anything deeper than 150 meters on this resource, and it's open pit constrained resource. Comes right to surface. And we're on the extension of this historic district 20 miles to the south called Santa Barbara, San Francisco del Oro. They've been mining for 450 years and are now down to a depth of 2,000 meters. So the upside on this project's fabulous. And at $20 silver, this project didn't make sense. It wouldn't work. But at $35 silver, it starts to look pretty interesting. So we've positioned this project to move ahead when we get a little further into what we believe is a very strong bull market. Same with the other resource projects in Sonora State, Promontorio and La Negra. Promontorio, original low-grade diatreme discovery, silver, gold, lead, zinc. And then the second discovery called La Negra, was really exciting because it's not that big. It's 26 million ounces or approximately. Really good grade for open pit. Although it wasn't big enough for Pan American, they turned the option back we had with them after drilling the property. We think it'd be a great project for a smaller operator. And we've positioned that to move ahead when we get further into what we believe is a silver bull market here. So that rounds out the presentation really, and we can go to now go to Q&A. So just to have a question here, does the $2 million cash fully support your 2025 drill programs? No, it doesn't. We'll have to be financing that over the next couple months. We'll look to do that. The minimum size of the next drill program we want to do is 20,000 meters. So that'll be a raise of approximately 6 million Canadian. When do we want to release the MRE? Another question here. Well, we'd like to have that out in certainly it's going to be this quarter, and it's just a few weeks away, so it's imminent. And then when do you expect to release the Q1 2025 drill results? Well, the last of those drill results was made yesterday. Fabulous hole ending with hole 199, which is one of the deepest holes on the D vein with an incredible intercept there. So we've now got all the assays out from our last drill program, which was the 20,000 meter program. So now we have just over 50,000 meters completed on the property and over 200 holes. And this is what will support our maiden resource. Do you plan to acquire the remaining surrounding claims? Okay, so that is those fractions, and the short answer is yes, we do, and we're working on that. We're reasonably well advanced on one of those fractions there. Those fractions probably cover about 15% of vein strike or less now. What is the infrastructure for the Columba project, and do you have a projected all-in sustaining cost? It's excellent infrastructure here. As you saw by that image earlier, the aerial image, it's really well located basin and range topography. The highway in the upper right of the aerial image is a 3.5-hour drive from that point to the international airport in Ciudad de Chihuahua. And then there's power right to the base of that hill as well. So really well located in terms of infrastructure. We do not have a projected all-in sustaining costs, which is another question here. We don't have that because we don't have a feasibility report or a PEA to point to what that cost might be. That we're not at that stage yet. We're still putting out our first maiden resource. So the next steps will be the maiden resource, more drilling to expand on the size of that resource, and then moving it towards a preliminary economic assessment, which will be the first economic report that we put out on the project. So the steps normally are, after the preliminary economic assessment, you would do a pre-feasibility study and a feasibility study. And generally those studies are what will allow you to know how bankable the project is, whether you're going to move ahead with a production decision or not. Now, another question is what is your intention to do with the project? Are you intending to take this production, be a miner, or sell it to a mining company? And the short answer there is we're setting this up to sell it to a mining company. That's our plan. And we're going to take all the steps along the way to get ourselves through toward feasibility and all the necessary permits for mining to increase value in the project as we move along. And then finally, another question here: what are the catalysts for a re-rating of Kootenay? Two main catalysts. One is going to be the maiden resource, where people start to see what size we've established so far, and they can see that whatever that size is, it's going to be getting bigger, get back to drilling and expanding that. So maiden resource, more drilling, major catalyst. And silver price, as you can see by our chart, if you compare our chart to the silver price, you can see the silver price is also a big driver for valuation in Kootenay. And I think that rounds out the questions so far. So you can also request a one-on-one meeting if you like, and you can also visit our website, Kootenay Silver website. So thank you everybody for your time, and if there's no other questions, I guess that's the conclusion of our presentation.